Chosen one, stop scrolling right now. This message is not random. This is not coincidence. This is divine alignment. Only 1% of chosen ones will receive billions, and God says, it's your turn tonight. Chosen one, before we go deeper, pause for a moment. If this message is already speaking to your spirit, don't just watch silently. Subscribe now so you don't miss the confirmations God sends your way. You know how the enemy tries to distract you right when you need a word the most. Your heart is racing right now because your spirit recognizes truth. The pressure you've been feeling wasn't meant to crush you. It was qualifying you for what's coming. The isolation wasn't punishment. It was protection. The attacks weren't random. They were strategic. The enemy only fights those carrying something valuable. God has been watching you. Every tear, every prayer, every moment you stayed faithful when walking away would have been easier. Every time you chose obedience when no one was looking. Heaven has been recording your faithfulness. Tonight marks a divine shift in your story. You felt it coming, that unexplainable stirring in your spirit, that sense that something major is about to break open in your life. That's because the season of preparation is closing and the season of manifestation is beginning. Listen carefully. You are part of the 1% who can carry what God is about to release. That's why people didn't understand you. That's why close friends walked away. That's why family questioned your faith. That's why opportunities dissolved when they seemed certain. The enemy recognized what was inside you before humans did. Hear this clearly. The warfare against your mind, peace, and progress wasn't personal. It was strategic. There were assignments against your destiny, attacks meant to discourage you until you gave up your calling. But God says none of it worked. What was meant to destroy you has been building spiritual authority within you. You've emerged with wisdom instead of bitterness, with fire instead of fear, with clarity instead of confusion. Heaven is announcing something tonight that few will receive, a divine transfer of abundance that most cannot handle, not because God is selective, but because few remain faithful through the purifying process. Few continue believing when results are invisible. Few maintain integrity when shortcuts appear. Few forgive when betrayal cuts deep. You did, and heaven noticed. That's why God says, it's your turn tonight. What I'm about to reveal will sound impossible to your natural mind, but your spirit already knows. God is releasing billions into the hands of chosen vessels who have been prepared through fire. Not millions, billions. This isn't about making you comfortable or wealthy for self-indulgence. This is about kingdom influence, generational impact, and divine redistribution of resources. God doesn't give wealth to impress. He entrusts it to advance His purposes on earth. Do you remember that word spoken over you when you were younger? That prophecy that seemed too big to believe? That dream that felt impossible? Heaven never forgot. God has been working toward this moment your entire life. Your doubts are surfacing now. Why me? I'm not qualified. I've made mistakes. I'm not ready for this level. These thoughts aren't yours. They're whispered by an enemy, terrified of what happens when you step into your full assignment. 3 nights ago, as I was in deep prayer, God showed me faces of those marked for this transfer. I saw you clearly. I saw the weight you've carried. I saw the midnight prayers when no one was watching. I saw the sacrifices you made that no one acknowledged. Then God revealed why only 1% will receive this level of blessing. It's not about worthiness. It's about stewardship capacity. It's not about perfection. It's about purified motives. It's not about background. It's about spiritual backbone. The dreams you've been having recently, those aren't just dreams. They're divine downloads preparing your spirit to carry wealth without being corrupted by it. The business ideas suddenly flowing aren't random. They're heavenly blueprints. This blessing isn't just financial, it's an authority transfer. Money is merely a physical manifestation of a spiritual reality. God trusts you with influence that will impact nations. The 1% aren't chosen for their skills. They're chosen for their hearts. They're chosen because they view wealth as assignment, not achievement. And you, chosen one, you are among them. Chosen one, do you remember the moment everything fell apart? When the business collapsed? When the finances dried up? When the relationship ended without warning? When your health suddenly failed? That moment wasn't your ending. It was your beginning. God wasn't punishing you. He was positioning you. He was removing you from systems that couldn't contain what He was about to pour into you. He was extracting you from environments too small for your calling. This is why Moses spent 40 years in the desert before leading Israel. This is why Joseph endured the pit and prison before the palace. This is why David faced the wilderness before the throne. The wilderness prepares kings. Remember that friend who suddenly turned against you? The one who knew your secrets and used them as weapons? The one whose betrayal cut deepest because you never saw it coming? God allowed that betrayal to show you who couldn't be trusted with your next level. Some people were assigned to be seasonal, not permanent. Some relationships were meant to teach you, not keep you. Your circle didn't just shrink, it was divinely filtered. With each person who walked away, with each door that closed, with each opportunity that vanished, you felt more alone, more misunderstood, more forgotten. But God says, you weren't abandoned, you were set apart. The isolation wasn't your punishment, it was your protection. God removed potential saboteurs before your biggest blessing. He cleared your space of those who would have contaminated your calling or competed with your anointing. What looked like rejection was actually selection. What felt like failure was actually freedom. What seemed like delay was actually development. Every tear watered the seeds of your destiny. Every disappointment developed your discernment. Every attack activated your authority. The wilderness wasn't meant to break you. It was designed to build you, to strip away what was false so you could stand in what is true. You're emerging from this season not defeated, but defined. Not wounded, but weaponized. Not bitter, but better. The wilderness has done its work. Now it's harvest time. When you began walking in your true identity, something shifted in the spiritual realm. Eyes turned toward you. Your name came up in dark councils. Your destiny became a target. This is why the attacks intensified. This is why the warfare became more sophisticated. This is why obstacles multiplied when you finally said yes to God's call. The enemy only fights what threatens his kingdom. You've noticed the pattern. Every time you make a faith move, resistance follows. Every time you step toward purpose, pressure increases. Every time you speak truth, voices rise against you. This isn't coincidence. This is confirmation. Your spiritual enemies recognized your potential before many humans did. They saw what God deposited in you. They detected the authority you carry. They sensed the influence you'll wield when fully activated. That's why they sent specific assignments against your mind, filling it with doubt, fear and confusion, finances, creating unexpected drains and delays, relationships, sending people who smile while carrying daggers, health, attacking your body to distract your spirit, peace, disturbing your sleep, and stirring anxiety. But here's what your enemies didn't expect. Their attacks became your training ground. Each battle taught you spiritual laws you couldn't have learned in comfort. Each attack revealed weaknesses that needed strengthening. Each betrayal built discernment you'll need for your next level. Your first major victory came when you realized who your real enemy was. It wasn't the person who betrayed you. It wasn't the boss who fired you. It wasn't the family who misunderstood you. Your battle was never against flesh and blood. In that moment, wisdom entered. You stopped fighting people and started dismantling spiritual strongholds. You stopped reacting emotionally and started responding strategically. You stopped being the victim and started walking as the victor. This shift terrified your spiritual opponents. They expected you to break under pressure. Instead, you bent and became stronger. They expected you to quit after failure. Instead, you learned and became wiser. They expected you to retreat after betrayal. Instead, you advanced and became bolder. The opposition didn't destroy you, it developed you. Do you remember the night everything changed? That moment when you couldn't take one more step? When the pain became unbearable? When you fell to your knees and told God, I can't do this anymore? That wasn't your ending. It was your beginning. God was waiting for that moment. The moment when your strength completely failed, when your plans were exhausted, when your resources were depleted. Because only empty vessels can be filled with something new. Your breaking point was actually your breakthrough point. That midnight prayer changed everything, not because it was eloquent, but because it was honest. Not because it was lengthy, but because it was from your depths. You finally prayed from desperation instead of obligation. And heaven responded. Remember the peace that suddenly filled the room, the weight that lifted off your shoulders, the clarity that entered your mind? That wasn't emotional relief. That was divine reset. The angels that entered your space that night carried specific instructions. They weren't sent to comfort you. They were sent to commission you. They weren't there to rescue you from your situation. They were there to reposition you for your assignment. You thought you were dying, but you were being delivered. You thought it was over, but it was just beginning. You thought you were losing everything, but you were being emptied to receive something greater. In that moment, heaven downloaded wisdom that human teachers couldn't give you, strategies that seminars couldn't teach you, revelation that books couldn't explain to you. The limitations that held you back were permanently broken that night. The ceiling over your life was lifted. The boundaries around your mind were expanded. Why? Because God needed you empty before the filling, broken before the building, surrendered before the sending. Listen, I know you're watching quietly, just taking everything in, but chosen ones like you don't come across these messages by accident. If this is touching your soul, hit that subscribe button. Don't keep walking through spiritual warfare alone when a whole family of chosen ones is right here with you. What looked like your lowest moment was actually your launching moment. What felt like your greatest defeat became your decisive victory. And now, chosen one, you're ready for what comes next. After your breaking point came the pruning. People began to fall away. Relationships that once seemed essential suddenly dissolved. doors that you fought to keep open firmly closed, and it hurt deeply. But God says this separation wasn't rejection. It was protection. The Father was removing connections that couldn't accompany you to your next level. He was cutting ties that would have become chains. He was creating space for what He wanted to bring. Not everyone assigned to your past is permitted to enter your future. This pruning process felt cruel in the moment. Why would God remove people when you already felt so alone? Why would He close doors when options were already limited? Why would He restrict when you needed expansion? Because some connections can only delay your destiny, not advance it. Some of the mentors who once guided you suddenly became cold. Leaders who once championed you began to compete with you. Friends who celebrated your small victories became threatened by your emerging greatness. Their reaction wasn't about you, it was about them. They were comfortable with the caterpillar, but threatened by the butterfly. They could handle your potential, but not your power. They wanted your gift, but not your growth. So God removed them, not out of punishment, but out of wisdom. With each painful separation came supernatural understanding. You began to forgive without explanation. You began to release without resentment. You began to move forward without looking back. This wasn't your natural response. It was divine wisdom operating through you. You learned that bitterness is a luxury that destiny carriers cannot afford. You discovered that holding grudges only chains you to your past. You realized that forgiveness isn't approval of what happened. It's freedom from its power over you. Now look at the horizon. Do you see them coming? New connections, divine alignments, kingdom partnerships, people who celebrate your strength instead of fearing it, people who push you higher instead of pulling you lower, people who correct you out of love, not competition, people who see your calling, not just your gift. The empty spaces in your life aren't vacant, they're reserved. The closed doors aren't dead ends, they're diversions. The painful goodbyes weren't final chapters, they were necessary transitions. What God removed can never compare to what God is sending. It happened when you least expected it. In the stillness of night, when the world was asleep, heaven opened above you. This wasn't a dream. This wasn't your imagination. This was divine visitation. The presence that filled your room carried weight and glory. Your body trembled not from fear, but from the power that entered your space. Time seemed to stand still as God revealed what had been hidden from you, the billion-dollar purpose. You saw it clearly, wealth beyond human comprehension flowing through your hands, not for personal luxury, but for kingdom advancement, not for status, but for strategy, not for comfort, but for commission. The revelation wasn't just about money, it was about influence, authority, impact. The billions were simply the physical manifestation of a spiritual mandate. God showed you exactly how it would happen. Supernatural connections with key individuals who carry pieces of your puzzle. Divine ideas that solve problems affecting millions. Kingdom strategies for wealth creation that defy economic limitations. Resources transferred from wicked hands to righteous stewards. Wealth systems built on biblical principles, not worldly wisdom. You received specific instructions that night. Prepare your character before I prepare your platform. Guard your heart more carefully than your assets. Build capacity for stewardship before capacity for acquisition. Learn to manage the small faithfully before I release the large. Develop systems of giving before systems of gathering. The purification process intensified after that night. God began dealing with hidden areas of your heart, motives you didn't recognize, attachments you didn't acknowledge, fears you didn't confront. It wasn't punishment, it was preparation. God was ensuring your heart could handle the weight of wealth without being corrupted by it. He was developing your spiritual immune system to resist the diseases that come with abundance: pride, greed, self-sufficiency, moral compromise. The most profound revelation that night wasn't about the billions. It was about the timing. It's happening now, not someday, not eventually, not in the distant future, now. The transfer has already begun in the spiritual realm. The wealth is already in motion. The connections are already aligned. The ideas are already released. The doors are already opening. You're not waiting on God. Heaven is waiting on your readiness. The midnight revelation wasn't just information, it was activation. Something awakened in your spirit that night that can never go back to sleep. Your spiritual DNA was altered. Your divine assignment was confirmed. And now, every step you take is either moving toward that destiny or away from it. Every decision either aligns with that calling or delays it. The billion-dollar purpose has your name on it. Heaven is watching to see what you'll do with what you now know. After revelation always comes testing. This is the law of the kingdom. Jesus received the dove before facing the wilderness. Joseph dreamed of rulership before entering the pit. David was anointed king before becoming a fugitive. Your billion-dollar calling is no different. The qualifying trials began appearing in your life, subtle at first, then increasingly obvious. Each one designed not to break you, but to prove you. Not to punish you, but to prepare you. The first tests targeted your integrity. Financial opportunities that required moral compromise, business shortcuts that bent ethical boundaries, relationship connections that demanded loyalty to people over principles, advancement paths that required sacrificing your values. With each test, the stakes increased. The pressure intensified. The rewards for compromise grew more attractive. These weren't random challenges. They were divine qualifications. Heaven was asking, can this person be trusted with billions when no one is watching? Will they maintain kingdom principles when worldly success beckons? Can they resist shortcuts when the right path seems longer? Stop right here. If you haven't subscribed yet, ask yourself why. Every time you search for clarity, every time you feel overwhelmed, God guides you to messages like this. Don't reject what heaven is trying to give you. Subscribe so you stay connected to the voice that lifts you when no one else does. Just when you thought you'd passed every test, the enemy launched his most sophisticated attack. The major temptation, the one that hit your deepest vulnerability, the one that came through someone you trusted, the one that appealed to your greatest weakness. It was perfectly timed, right when you were exhausted, right when you felt alone, right when victory seemed distant. This wasn't just another test. This was the final qualification. The enemy believed you would fail. He had studied your patterns, analyzed your breaking points, and crafted a temptation specifically designed for your downfall. But something unexpected happened. Instead of falling, you stood. Instead of compromising, you committed. Instead of surrendering to pressure, you surrendered to purpose. This wasn't your natural strength. This was supernatural empowerment. In that critical moment, heaven intervened, not by removing the temptation, but by revealing the truth, not by taking away the pressure, but by increasing your capacity. Angels were dispatched to your location, Strength flowed into your spirit. Wisdom beyond your experience guided your decision. And when it was over, something shifted in the atmosphere around you. Authority that was theoretical became practical. Anointing that was potential became kinetic. You didn't just survive the qualifying trials, you emerged qualified. And now heaven has confirmation you can be trusted with billions. There are moments when your destiny is discussed in realms you cannot see, courts you cannot enter with natural eyes, councils where your name is mentioned with purpose. Such a moment happened for you recently. Heaven convened a special court session regarding your readiness. Angels who had watched your journey presented evidence, records of your faithfulness in secret places, documentation of prayers you thought went unanswered, accounts of times you chose obedience when disobedience seemed easier. But the accuser was also present. He brought charges against you, moments of doubt you entertained, fears you embraced, compromises you considered, bitterness you harbored. He argued passionately that you were unqualified for the billions God had reserved for you. Look at their past failures, he demanded. Review their weaknesses. Consider their limitations. The evidence against you seemed overwhelming until your advocate stood. With authority that silenced the court, Jesus presented his blood as your qualification. He didn't deny your failures. He transformed them. He showed how each struggle developed something essential for your assignment, how each weakness became the entry point for divine strength. The accusations that seemed so powerful suddenly fell powerless. The spiritual jury deliberated only moments before reaching their verdict. Transfer of wealth? Approved. In that moment, something shifted in your atmosphere. Authority that was contested became confirmed. Promise that was potential became actual. Provision that was prophesied became practical. Have you noticed the supernatural encounters increasing around you? The dreams more vivid than before, the prophetic words more specific than general, the divine coincidences too precise to be random, the ideas flowing with clarity and detail you couldn't manufacture. These aren't your imagination, they're confirmation of the court verdict. Physical manifestations have already begun appearing. Unexpected financial blessings arriving from unlikely sources. Relationships forming with people who carry keys to your next door. Opportunities presenting themselves that align perfectly with your calling. Resources appearing precisely when needed, not a moment too early or late. The transfer isn't coming. It has already started. The court has ruled in your favor. The accusers have been silenced. The verdict has been recorded. Heaven has authorized your billions. Pay attention to the new faces entering your life. They aren't random. They're strategic. They're divine connections sent to complete your vision. God is assembling your billion-dollar network. These individuals carry pieces of your puzzle, skills you lack, wisdom you need, resources you require, doors you cannot open alone. They recognize something in you that others missed. They see your calling, not just your current condition. Watch how easily these relationships form. Notice the immediate spiritual recognition, the unusual comfort level, the accelerated trust, the supernatural understanding. These aren't normal business relationships, they're divine partnerships. Some bring billion-dollar wisdom earned through decades of experience. Others bring heavenly strategies downloaded in prayer. Some carry kingdom resources waiting for kingdom purpose. Others bring healing for wounds that would have limited your capacity. Each connection serves a specific purpose in your destiny. But be warned, the enemy has seen your network forming. He's sending counterfeits, individuals who look right but feel wrong, people with impressive credentials but questionable character, connections that promise advancement but deliver attachment, relationships that enter with praise but operate with hidden agendas. This is why discernment is now your most valuable asset. God has given you spiritual security protocols to protect your divine network. The peace test. Divine connections bring peace. Counterfeits create anxiety. The fruit inspection. True partners show consistent character over time. The motives examination. Genuine connections serve purpose, not self-interest. The alignment confirmation. Real partnerships flow with your calling, not against it. Some connections will surprise you. They don't fit your expectations, come from different backgrounds, speak different languages, move in different circles. Don't dismiss them. God often packages billion-dollar relationships in unexpected containers. Remember Joseph's prison guard, David's loyal soldiers, Esther's palace servant, Ruth's bitter mother-in-law? Each unlikely connection became critical to divine destiny. Your network is forming now, invisible to those without spiritual vision, but increasingly obvious to you. Each handshake, each introduction, each random meeting carries potential beyond natural understanding. Stop right here. If you haven't subscribed yet, ask yourself why. Every time you search for clarity, every time you feel overwhelmed, God guides you to messages like this. Don't reject what heaven is trying to give you. Subscribe so you stay connected to the voice that lifts you when no one else does. The divine network forming around you isn't just impressive, it's essential for the billions God has assigned to your hands. It's happening now. The wealth transfer you've been prophesied about is no longer future tense, it's present reality. That unexpected check, that sudden business opportunity, that inheritance you didn't anticipate, that debt mysteriously canceled, that contract that appeared from nowhere. These aren't coincidences, they're first fruits, the initial drops before the downpour, the early evidence of the billions God has reserved for your stewardship, the confirmation that heaven's verdict is manifesting in your physical world. But with this first wave of abundance comes divine instruction. God is not just giving you wealth, He's teaching you how to steward it with kingdom wisdom. Give from your first fruits, not your leftovers. Create systems of blessing, not just systems of increase. Remember that wealth is a weapon, not a reward. Build with generational vision, not immediate gratification. Measure success by impact, not accumulation. Have you noticed your spiritual authority increasing alongside your financial increase? The prayers that now carry greater weight, the words that hold more power, the presence that accompanies your decisions? This is the divine pattern. Stewardship and authority rise together. Watch carefully now. Former critics are returning. People who dismissed your vision now want connections. Those who mocked your faith now seek your favor. Individuals who rejected you now recognize you. This isn't the time for revenge, it's the time for wisdom. Some are returning with genuine remorse. They truly didn't see what God was doing. Others come with hidden agendas. They want access to your blessing without alignment with your purpose. A few arrive as assignments, sent to test your character at this new level. Discernment is your protection at this level of influence. Not everyone who celebrates your success should share your table. Not everyone who acknowledges your blessing should access your vision. Not everyone who recognizes your authority should influence your decisions. The wealth transfer has begun, but it's only the beginning. The millions flowing now are preparing you for the billions coming next. Your response to this first wave determines the timing of the next. New level, new devil. This ancient wisdom is now your present reality. As billions begin flowing toward your hands, the enemy has upgraded his tactics. The warfare has intensified. The attacks have become more sophisticated, more subtle, more strategic. This isn't the amateur opposition you faced before. This is advanced warfare designed specifically for wealth carriers. The attacks now target 4 critical areas: your mind, injecting subtle fears about stewardship capacity; your relationships, sending individuals with hidden financial motives; your health, attempting to make you too weak to complete your assignment; your reputation, spreading false narratives about your character and motives. But heaven has not left you defenseless. Divine strategies have been released for your protection. The covenant shield, legal agreements established in prayer that protect wealth transfers; the wisdom council, specific advisors appointed by God, not impressive credentials; the sanctuary practice, regular withdrawal from public spaces to receive divine direction; the prophetic audit, supernatural discernment that exposes hidden financial traps; the strategic hiddenness, keeping certain moves private until divinely authorized to reveal you're now facing the most intense spiritual battle of your journey. This is the enemy's desperate attempt to prevent the full manifestation of your billion-dollar calling. The opposition feels overwhelming. Attacks from unexpected directions, betrayal from trusted circles, challenges that seem designed for your specific weaknesses. But in this intense warfare, something miraculous is happening. Hidden enemies are being exposed. Through dreams, God is revealing those with secret assignments against you. Through accidental comments, hidden motives are surfacing. Through divine encounters, warnings are being delivered just before critical decisions. What the enemy meant to destroy you is actually protecting you. Every attack is revealing another layer of God's defensive strategy around you. Every challenge is activating another dimension of your spiritual authority. Every battle is establishing your governance in realms you couldn't access before. This isn't just warfare, it's coronation through conflict. With each victory, your spiritual authority becomes more permanent, more recognized, more effective. Angels that once needed detailed instructions now respond to your briefest commands. Spiritual forces that once seemed intimidating now retreat at your approach. This billion-dollar warfare isn't destroying your destiny, it's confirming it. The enemy doesn't waste his elite forces on insignificant targets. The intensity of the battle reveals the value of what you carry. As billions flow into your hands, God is revealing the true purpose behind this wealth transfer. This was never about your comfort, never about status, never about proving others wrong. This is about kingdom agenda. In prayer, God is downloading specific blueprints, divine strategies that extend beyond personal blessing into global transformation. The wealth isn't the miracle. What you'll accomplish with it is. Heaven has given you a spiritual burden that most couldn't carry. For nations trapped in poverty cycles that require economic revolution, for generations wounded by systems that need redemptive restructuring, for communities damaged by corruption that need righteous restoration, for innovations delayed by lack that will solve humanitarian crises. The weight of this assignment would crush you if not for the grace that accompanies it. God is connecting you with other chosen wealth carriers, individuals also entrusted with billions for kingdom purpose. Some you'll recognize immediately. Others will find you through divine orchestration. Together, you form a network of righteous wealth more powerful than the world's corrupt financial systems. These connections aren't coincidental. They're covenant. Each carries pieces of global strategy that, when combined, form heaven's master plan for wealth redistribution. Each stewards resources for specific sectors: education, healthcare, technology, agriculture, media, government, arts. Together, you're creating a parallel economy based on kingdom principles. What would normally take decades is happening in months. Projects that should require years are manifesting in weeks. Initiatives that typically need multiple rounds of funding are fully resourced at inception. This supernatural acceleration isn't human efficiency, it's divine intervention. Angels are assigned specifically to your kingdom projects, removing obstacles, aligning resources, connecting key people, accelerating results. Spiritual forces are rearranging circumstances to create space for divine outcomes. The billions flowing through you are creating miracles daily: water in desert places, food in famine zones, healing in healthcare deserts, education where ignorance was weaponized, freedom where oppression reigned, hope where despair dominated. This isn't philanthropy. This is kingdom invasion. You're not just changing current conditions, you're altering future trajectories. Not just addressing symptoms, you're transforming systems. Not just helping individuals, you're healing generations. The burden feels heavy at times, but remember, God never gives wealth assignments without supplying the wisdom, relationships, and strength required to fulfill them. Your billions have divine purpose attached to them. Before the complete manifestation of your billion-dollar calling, you face one final threshold, one last test that determines whether the full measure will be released through your hands. This isn't like previous tests. It's more subtle, more sophisticated, more personally tailored to your specific vulnerabilities. The temptation presents itself at the highest level, an opportunity that requires moral compromise to secure generational wealth, a partnership that demands allegiance to systems that oppose kingdom values, a shortcut that would accelerate results but violate spiritual principles, a decision that prioritizes influence over integrity, results over righteousness. The enemy crafted this temptation with precision, studying your weaknesses, analyzing your desires, calculating your pressure points. It arrives looking legitimate, reasonable, even necessary. Distinguished voices endorse it. Logical arguments to support it, immediate benefits accompany it. This is the final filtration, the test that separates the 99% from the 1%. The pressure intensifies as you consider your options. Internal voices argue convincingly for compromise. External voices question your hesitation. The path of integrity seems foolish, even irresponsible compared to the guaranteed outcome of the alternative. In this pivotal moment, when human wisdom fails and fleshly strength falters, heaven intervenes, not by removing the choice, but by illuminating it, not by eliminating the pressure, but by revealing its purpose, not by providing escape, but by supplying endurance. Divine perspective suddenly fills your mind. Supernatural wisdom clarifies your vision. Strength beyond your natural capacity steadies your resolve. With newfound clarity, You make the decision that aligns with kingdom rather than convenience. You choose the path that honors God rather than expediency. You select the option that preserves purpose rather than just promising profit. In that moment, the final seal breaks. The remaining barriers between you and your billions dissolve. The complete transfer activates without delay. The fullness of your financial destiny manifests with supernatural speed. What God reserved for the 1% is now fully released into your hands. The impact begins with an unexpected miracle, a demonstration of divine power that confirms heaven's backing of your assignment. Something impossible by human standards manifests with supernatural ease, announcing to both seen and unseen realms that God Himself is financing your vision. This miracle becomes the first of many, each larger than the last, each touching more lives, each extending further into nations and generations. You've crossed the final threshold. The billions are yours to steward. What you're walking in now fulfills words spoken centuries before your birth. Ancient prophecies reserved for the end times. Divine declarations waiting for the right steward, the right moment, the right heart. You are the fulfillment of what the prophet saw. Remember the mysterious dreams in your childhood that made no sense? The strange encounters where messengers delivered words too big for you to comprehend? The persistent visions that felt impossible yet wouldn't leave your spirit? They weren't imagination, they were invitation, heaven extending its agenda into your timeline. Your obedience has unlocked blessings for generations you will never meet. Your courage has created pathways for children not yet born. Your faithfulness has formed foundations for families whose names you don't know. This is legacy beyond bloodline, impact beyond lifetime, influence beyond headline. The wealth flowing through your hands isn't just protected, it's divinely defended. Heaven has established boundaries around your resources that demonic forces cannot penetrate. Angels specifically assigned to guard what God has entrusted to you. This isn't normal financial security. This is supernatural wealth protection. Strategies designed to steal your billions mysteriously malfunction. Individuals plotting against your resources are unexpectedly removed. Systems created to control kingdom wealth suddenly develop exceptions when you enter them. Heaven is celebrating what earth doesn't fully comprehend. Angels who watched your darkest moments now witness your greatest triumphs. Heavenly beings who strengthened you in weakness now rejoice in your authority. Divine messengers who delivered promises during your doubt now record their fulfillment. The celebration isn't just about the billions, it's about your transformation. From fearful to faithful, from damaged to dangerous, from rejected to ruling, from overlooked to overcoming, from wounded to warrior. You steward wealth differently because of what you endured. You distribute differently because of what was withheld from you. You protect differently because of what was stolen from you. You build differently because of what was broken in you. This is why God chose you for billions, not despite your scars, but because of them. Yet even now, as you walk in what once seemed impossible, heaven whispers a final revelation. This was just the beginning. What you're stewarding now is the foundation for what comes next. The billions are seeds for greater harvests. The influence is preparation for greater authority. The impact is rehearsal for greater transformation. Before you go, chosen one, don't forget the fact that you made it to the end of this message means something. Your spirit needed this. Don't walk away without subscribing. It costs nothing. but it means everything for the journey God is taking you on. Join the family. Your breakthrough might be in the next video. Your story isn't ending. The greatest chapters are still unwritten.